Yes. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We've got some people joining us already. 5 people, increasing 6 people. So assalamu alaikum everyone. Please welcome. Waan idin soo dhaweynaynaa aad. Waxaan idin leenahay fiidnimo wanaagsan, subax wanaagsan, galab wanaagsan, meel kastood joogtaan. Aad baan idin salaamanaa waad mahadsantihiin nagala soo qayb gasheen. We're just going to wait for everyone to join for a few minutes and then we're going to kickstart. In the meantime, please, in the comments, leave your name and where you're joining from us. If you could just leave your name and where you're joining from us, that would be amazing.
This is your third or fourth one. Which one?
Yeah, this is the fourth one and my name account. And kuwii horena it was engaging actually waa la jeclaaday, and that's why we decided to do more of these.
Amazing. And dadka ku daawanaya, where are they usually based?
Usually they're based in Hargeysa, Mogadishu. Basically dadku waxay kasoo qayb galaan back home. Laakiinse waxaa jira some people who also join from dibadaha laakiinse ma badna. Okay, so I hope you will like it and everybody else will like it. We love this session.
xirfadaha samaynta barnaamijyada kombiyuutarka ama software development laakiin diyaar uma tihid inaad si offline ah u soo xadirsid fasallo ma raadinaysay meel aad ka barto xirfadan adiga oo gurigaaga jooga ama goobtaada shaqo haddaba barnaamijka Fikrcamp waxaa furmaya socoshada dafcaddii afaraad kaasoo shakhsiyaad ka raadinaya inay u soo digarogtaan dhanka teknolojiyada lagu bariyo xirfadahaas meel kasta oo ay joogaan barnaamijkan online-ka ah waxaa bixinaya barayaal khibrad u leh software engineering sidoo kale habka waxbarasho mid ku salaysan dhisidda mashaariic dhamaystirka la ilisiyo si loo helo waxbarasho dhigaan leh oo practical ah barnaamijkan waxaad ku baranaysaa xawaarahaaga adiga oo gurigaaga jooga intaa waxaa dheer waxaad heli doontaa isla agabka iyo taageerada barnaamijkaaga offline-ka ah barayaasha kooxda Fikrcamp waxay bixinayaan taageero shakhsiyeed iyo la talin iyagoo hubinaya inaad qalajibiso adigoo leh xirfadaha iyo kalsoonida loo baahan yahay si aad ugu guulaysato suuqa shaqada ee teknolojiyada kuwaas oo aan ku
magacaygu waa Maxamed Cabdilaahi waxaan ka mid ahaa dafcaddii labaad ee ka baxday Fikrcamp aniga journey-gaygu wuxuu ku bilaabmay markii aan isku dayay software development-ka aan keligay barto markaa waxaan isku dayay inaan YouTube videos aan daawado documentations aan akhriyo laakiin caqabadaha waaweyn ee soo warbaxday runtii waxay ahayd structure-kii aan u baahnaa iyo roadmap-kii haygalahayd ban waayey taasina waxay ku keentay inaan progress fiican sameyno I think go-aanka ugu fiicnaan gaadho wuxuu ahaa inaan ka soo qayb galo Fikrcamp because markaan saa ogaday waxaan ka helay structure-kii aniga iga maqnaa iyo mentorship program fiican iga caawinaya caqabadaha iga soo horbaxa Fikrcamp markaan ka qalin jabiyey waxaan ku takhasusay takhasus teknolojiyada ka mid ah oo la yidhaahdo Salesforce oon ka diyaariyey dhowr shahaadadood iminkana waxaan ku shaqeeyaa Salesforce Certified Administrator dadka xiiseynaya software development-ka waxaan la talin lahaa Fikrcamp waxa weeyaan meesha ugu fiican aad ka bilaabi lahaydeen
Okay, in ku filan waan sugnay qof walba oo nagala soo qayb galaya mar labaad mar saddexaad aad baan idin salaamanaa aad baan idin soo dhaweynaynaa assalaamu calaykum Nasir from Hargeysa Cabdirasaaq Hussein Abdurrahman Bashe which is our last guest in this talks Abdurrahman aad baan ku salaamanaa Ridwan from London and everyone please dadkan ugu soo biiray if you didn't hear and please if you could just leave in the chats your name and where you're joining us from. We're just gonna kickstart the session now. Marka ugu horeysa waxaan rabaa inaan u mahadnaqo Hana Abdi, which is the founder and CEO of HanaCodes and also the tech head of 01 Founders. Iyada noo sheegi doontaa most of the information about that. Firstly, this session is hosted by Fikrcamp, which is a bootcamp that has the aim to upskill and give or help youth or young people to master skills, and then when they master these skills, help them get access to jobs and get access to jobs or be job ready. And instead of then the conventional or the traditional way which universities usually do is just they graduate people, but the problem is most of these people are missing the skills to actually tap into the actual job market. So that's what we do. And in these talks, we tend to or we plan to try to convey inspiration and learning and connection with the techies and our community. So every now and then we invite one interesting guest with interesting background. For example, today we have Hana, and she has obviously have a different background and an interesting story iyada laftarkeedu. So we're gonna listen to her. We're gonna look at her. Iyadana waxay noo sheegi doontaa her journey, her story, how she got into tech and what she's involved in, waxay ka shaqeyso, and also maxay nagula talinaysaa, what can she tell us from her experience, and maxayna odhan kartaa focus on these are the trends on maxaan focus ka saari karnaa bayna odhan kartaa. Marka aad baan usoo dhaweynayaa Hana, iyadan kusoo wareejinaya, she can kick start, iyadana is sharaxi doonta waxay qabato, inaan kasii hordhaco ma rabo. Mar labaad iyo mar saddexaadna leave in the chats where you from and your names. Hannah, so do.
Okay, so you want me to briefly introduce or just go for it?
Yeah, you just briefly introduce and then we kick from there. We can maybe pick up on something you said,
Okay.
and then Hagas Maxis on.
Okay, so I'm Hana. I go by HanaCodes online. I wear multiples of hats in the tech world. I've been in the tech industry for about 10 years now. Each of my main testament for being in tech is for driving change and inclusivity and empowering others in the tech industry. One of the hats that I wear is I'm a tech lead or head of tech at Unveiled, and I have the privilege of contributing to the organization and transforming people's lives. So Zero Founders is similar to Fikrcamp, but we provide like training and upskilling that's entirely free, and we're based in central London. So we have students that range from bus drivers and pastry chefs and mums that have been home with their children for many years that are transitioning into tech. And we take them through a rigorous journey where they become full stack engineers within 2 years. So I find like immense satisfaction in this because I get to host events, I get to work with them firsthand. They're learning languages such as like Golang, JavaScript, and Rust, and then they specialize in either DevOps or AI, UX, UI. We have various different streams that they can go into. I'm also the founder and kind of driving force behind HanaCodes, which is my own digital agency that I started, I think 7 years ago now. I provide a range of services from front-end development, back-end development, and also social media management. And what sets apart the clients that I work with is I only work with clients that do tech for good, or they work with the community. So they're only people that are bringing their products and services that help the community on the market successfully. So I don't take on jobs that would do anything to harm the environment or harm the community or harm anything. It's only clients that I think that share the passion that I have so that I can give them the best of myself. I also run a community called Bridge the Gap in Tech, which is another initiative that's super close to my heart. It started during COVID, where I wanted to support people from underrepresented backgrounds break into the tech world. And we offered like a multitude of training opportunities, and we created connections with people, and that all started from like a coffee morning. I remember you were part of one of the first ones I did, Ridwan.
Yeah,
and it's just to connect people from across the world. So I think I've impacted over 6,000 people's lives now, from like Clubhouse and YouTube days, and I had you on as a guest multiple times, I think, to talk through your journey as well.
Absolutely, thank you. Yeah, it's quite the journey.
Yeah, I'm also multiple things. I'm also a AWS community builder. So recently I did some stuff with them, and we had like an AWS summit in London. I'm also a Google Women Tech Maker advocate. So I've been a mentor for different women within their tech careers with Google. I also ran the Women in Tech big initiative here in London as well. I've also worked with Microsoft teaching children and young people different foundations of coding. So I've multiple things.
Yeah. Everyone is impressed. So people are saying mashallah in the comments, and I'm also impressed. This is you're doing a lot, and you don't even seem that old. I mean, you're young, and then you've been involved in a lot of things. That's mashallah. And Ego, you have had this amazing journey being in tech. You're a programmer, and you're involved in community building, and obviously you have to be someone who's outspoken and who loves networking and this stuff to be able to get this exposure and be part of these initiatives and things. So, in the first place, maybe our audience and people would love to know, how did you transition into tech? How did you even get into tech? And once you get into tech, you're in tech and doing coding. How did you get into communities and building communities and joining initiatives and these amazing things that you're involved in?
So once I was younger, I first started off thinking that I wanted to go into pharmacy. I didn't even know that this tech thing was going to be a thing, or if it was something that I could do potentially. So traditionally, like everybody else, I went into the sciences. I thought, okay, like I've got family members that are doctors, I've got people that are in the sciencey space, I'm good at science. Let me just try and be a pharmacist. I know that I don't like blood and things. I thought, okay, I could potentially go into medicine in that way. I was really into gaming when I was younger, so I used to play like Modern Warfare and a whole heap of other games. And I got invited to the launch of the PlayStation 4, and I met a bunch of developers there and women that were in the space. And I didn't even know that this was a thing. Like, I knew they were developed and things, but I always thought it was someone like in the background doing these things. I didn't think it was something that could potentially be opened up to me. So when I went back after the event was amazing. We got to try out all the new games and the new PlayStation, and the developers were really helpful in their explaining the things. So I thought, okay, let me go. I went back into my university and asked them if games development was a thing, if it's something that I could look at. And my lecturer told me to sit in on some computer science lessons. So I did that, and then I thought, okay, this is something that I could potentially do. So when I went into the room, there was no women on the course. There wasn't anyone there that looked like me. It was just people that I potentially thought that were in tech at the time. And I thought, okay, if I'm going to take on this challenge, it's something that I'm going to have to speak to my parents about, speak to everybody about before I do that. So alhamdulillah, I made the change. I joined it, even though it was really hard because there wasn't anybody there that looks like me. But I thought, if I get into this space and this becomes something in the future, this is something that I could potentially share with other people, and they could take that journey as well. So alhamdulillah, I had a really good mentor that I met at a few different events. I was really scared to network in the beginning when I first started the journey, and it's so hard to push yourself to do that, but the networking and building communities and meeting people is the only way that you're able to get jobs and potentially find what avenue and space that you can go into. I speak really fast. If I'm speaking too fast, tell me to stop.
Maybe the people will tell us in the comments. Maybe in the comments you can share your feedback.
So when I started, there wasn't many people that looked like me in tech, and I wanted to change that. And I believe that communities play such a crucial role in like shaping the industry and sharing knowledge and providing support. So that was one of my main things. So I was going to these networking events, and there wasn't anybody that looked like me. Nobody really wanted to speak to me, even though I was trying to. And I kept getting hit with like different barriers and boundaries and things. And I thought, okay, if it's going to be like this, then why don't I create a space or create somewhere where people can come together that look like me, that talk like me, that are from where I'm from, and they don't feel like then they don't fit into those spaces, they can come in and be themselves and we can talk about tech. So alhamdulillah, that's what I did. And now, alhamdulillah, in London, there's tons of communities that are like, there's Black women in tech. There's so many communities that you can go into. There's Somalis in tech. There's so much. And it's an amazing dynamic space to be in now than it was like 12 years ago or so. Yeah. I think that answered your question.
Yeah, it did. And also shout out to Somalis in Tech that you mentioned. Abshir, actually, one of the co-founders, was our
Yeah.
first guest in this Fikrcamp Talks. So imika waxaa la odhan karaa, a lot of people waxay ka fikiraan it's more about where you know the technical skills, and a lot of developers or like emerging techies overlook the importance of networking and being social and being exposed to people that can maybe get you exposure to opportunities. So,
Yeah.
how important was it for your journey that you were like out of your comfort zone and meeting people and joining communities, and you yourself involved in building communities? How important was that for your journey, and also how important is that for like any emerging techie to be with good in the
I'd say it's extremely fundamental. Like even my students now, I tell them that they need to be part of meetup events. They need to be actively pursuing going to these networking events. There are so many events happening all the time, and I feel like in the tech space, it's about who you know, not what you know. Like what you know will get you in, but if you're liked and you're able to have a conversation with someone, they're more likely to hire you and they see you as a good fit in their company. And if you're not able to talk to people and you're not able to have a conversation with someone, you're not going to get the role. And I think most people forget that, especially in technical interviews. We did some technical interview training recently, and they would just sit there and code. And I feel like in technical interviews, they kind of want to see your thinking behind it, why you've done it that way, what your thought process is, what type of person you are, to see what kind of fit that is. And I don't know, I feel like me being able to have a conversation with someone has taken me so far. And I think if I wasn't able to network and talk to people and connect with people, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Okay, so it's really important, and waxaa la moodaa a lot of people overlook it or like they focus on only the technical part, and it's true. It's like what you know is important. Like if nobody knows what you know, then nobody will ever like mention your name when the opportunities come up, and that's a very crucial thing, as you said. So, Unka, you have been in tech in a while. You have been involved in waxaad soo aragtay the journeys of many people, techies, like
Yeah.
from your community and stuff. So maxaad odhan kartaa like what has changed? What are the trends recently? Where do you think things are going? Especially waxyaabaad ka shaqeyso, you give services to your clients. Ardaydii baad involved la tahay, waxbarashadood ku jirtaa. Like what tech trends can you tell us or like say follow and things like this?
So I feel like the one thing that I absolutely love about tech is that it's so dynamic and it's exciting to see everything evolving all the time. But one of the most exciting trends that I've seen at the moment and like has been AI, like all the rapid trends and advancements with machine learning, and how it's revolutionizing various industries from healthcare to finance. I've also been to a few green tech seminars. So there's been an increased focus on like sustainability and creating like, tech solutions for the future. So all the global warming and all the critical global challenges and fixes with that. So there's two things: is either keep up with the AI trends, because I feel like now, before ChatGPT came out, it's been about 8 months now, and I feel like people are still really behind with it. But there's 100 different AIs that are out at the moment that you can use to simplify your life and make your workday a lot easier. I was having a conversation with someone recently, and they told me that they've managed to optimize their whole work with AI, that they only have to do 4 hours a week of actual work, just making sure the AI is working sufficiently. So seeing how that works and seeing how it can make your life easier is a huge thing. But also looking into green tech solutions. So looking at how you can improve the environment, looking at how you can make things sustainable, and reducing the carbon waste as well.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. The next question I want to ask you is like qof walba sida wuxuu bartay. Everyone, some of us in tech, they went to college or waxay mareen the university route. Qaar waxay dhigteen maybe programs of bootcamp, qaar was self-taught. How was your journey like? How did you acquire the skills? Not only the technical skills that you serve your clients with, but also how did you acquire the skills like uh, being good with networking and this or kind how was the journey?
So I have a degree in computer science. I also have a master's degree. But I'm seeing now that people are getting into tech through boot camps and various things, and it's not really important to have those things. And it's just about acquiring the knowledge and continuing learning, because with tech, things are always changing and moving dynamically. So it's keeping up with the times and not being afraid to fail. So embrace the learning and don't be afraid to fail. It's so important. And seek out mentors, like I said, join the communities, network with people. Don't be discouraged by going into an event and then you feel like you didn't really network with anyone there. Try and push yourself to keep going, and then view them as like an opportunity to grow and evolve as a person. Also remember that you bring your own unique perspective to a room. I feel like people forget that. So they feel like, okay, I'm in this space. Everybody knows different things. Maybe they're more advanced than me. I've only been coding for maybe a year or less. And I feel like I can't talk to this person because they've been in tech for so long. They're going to see me as stupid, or I have anxiety. What if I say the wrong thing? But I feel like you need to understand that you as a person, you bring a unique strength and a background as yourself, and you're unique in your thinking, you're unique in your perspective. So you may even teach that person that you've met that's been in the industry for 20 years, 10 years, something that they may have not learned. But sometimes people get stuck in their technical way, so they'll stick to a language, whereas you might have learned something and you've learned something new and innovative. So I say don't hinder yourself if you feel like you're fresh in the space. Go to those spaces. And I feel like people that have been in the tech industry value people who've just come in, and they're more willing to help you because they want you to succeed. Me myself, I mentor quite a few people, and they want to see you win. So don't feel like they're going to close the door. There are some bad eggs, there are some bad people, but most of us, we want to see you win and we want to see you do well in the industry. So don't feel scared to speak to people. I see somebody said, how did you manage the anxiety with meeting people? I think I was saying this, you need to build the lack of fear. You need to train your brain to be like, okay, so as I said, I'm bringing my own unique perspective. I'm bringing my thoughts and energy into this. So I want to meet this person and that person. I'm going to do this. If you set yourself a goal and you have that in mind and you go and do it, that will get rid of the imposter syndrome from doing it next time. So, and also I think I have this view that people are nice and they will be nice if you are. So if you bring the energy there, people are more willing to speak to you and you're able to network with people. And if it doesn't work, just try it again. I feel like it takes a few times to get there, but also, or buddy up with people. I always tell my students, I have a lot of shy students that don't like networking. We always have events on campus. I always tell them to buddy up or go in groups and then go with that person and just stay there. So there's always one person that's able to speak. Just buddy up, and then eventually you'll build up the courage to do it yourself.
Absolutely. You answered both questions very nice, and you've actually mentioned a lot of great points. You've talked about so many things, and one I would like to explore a bit more is the mentorship. You talked about finding mentors and how important that is. So, in your journey, can you tell us maybe an example, and maybe you can give a shout out to one of your mentors and tell a story, like how did they help you in your journey? And how important it is. Can you just also elaborate on how important mentorship is for for the techies journey, for the emerging techies?
So mentorship is invaluable, I think. Personally, for me, I had a mentor from the first year of university till maybe the last year. So I used to go to a lot of networking events, and I met my mentor through there. And I just outright asked if he would mentor me, because he was working in the tech industry for about 20 years. He was also Black, and he was doing public speaking, and at the time public speaking was something that seemed really scary to me, and I didn't think it was something that I was able to do. So I thought, okay, let me try and build the soft skills as well as the technical skills. And I feel like they also give you advice on career development and your journey and how to balance your work life, and you kind of see how they've done it. And you're also able to ask the silly questions that you wouldn't really ask someone else that you're trying to network with. So if you have a mentor, able to ask them, okay, so if I do this, what's the outcome do you think is going to be of this? They can also build a roadmap for you to go down. I've had multiple mentors throughout my career. I recently had a mentor that's absolutely amazing. And weirdly enough, all my mentors have been men. I've had no women mentors. But they've all had different wealths of knowledge from different spaces. And it's easy to help when you have someone take you under their wing. They kind of guide you through challenging projects. They kind of make you see what your career looks like. They help you celebrate your wins, because I feel like as humans, we never celebrate what amazing things we've done. It's mainly what can I do next, for me anyway. But it helps you grow and navigate. So I think reach out to someone that you admire or someone that you've met at an event, and ask them to mentor you, or even give up a bit of their time, because most people are super busy. And that will kind of help. It helps my career growth a lot, because sometimes there's a road blockage and you're really comfortable in the job that you're in, but you know that you could be somewhere else doing better. So that mentor kind of pushes you or pivots you in that direction, or helps you see it in that direction, so you can move as well. So it's invaluable. I say get a mentor at any point of your career, wherever you are. Just get a mentor, because it always helps.
Okay, yeah. Absolutely. So Mohammed Ali Abdullah, you can see his question here. If you can get to his question, he's talking about imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. I did a talk recently about this. A lot of people ask me this question. I feel like with imposter syndrome, I feel like you kind of need to believe that it's not real. I feel like for me anyway, I kind of have this notion where if you have imposter syndrome, acknowledge it, but then in your own brain, believe that you have the skills and what it takes to excel and succeed, and you're learning in that journey and you're getting there. But I feel like imposter syndrome is something that kind of holds you back, because you believe you're not good enough and you're not there yet and you can't add value to something. But it's a tricky one, because it's different for different people. But for most people, they don't feel like they've learned enough or they've done enough, so they can't speak on a certain subject, or they've not picked up enough coding skills to go get a client. I think if you believe that there are people doing less than you that are already there and doing the work, and it's just about having the audacity and the push and the drive to going and doing it, getting that client, going to that course, going to that event, just going and doing it. Because either way, you're going to have imposter syndrome if you stay at home. So you might as well have imposter syndrome in the networking event, and you're actually doing it and you're beating it. So either way, if you're clipping your own wings, you have to be your own champion and your own pushing drive. And genuinely, there are people that know less than you and are doing more. So it's just about having the audacity and the drive. My mom says, advocacy. Like I very, very much am. I have the audacity all the time. Like I know that I'm
Yeah.
good at something and I know that I'm going to go do it. But I do suffer from it sometimes. There are little moments as a human, you have those imposter syndrome moments, but you have to have the audacity and you have to think that you're good at it regardless.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
But at least also you have this self-awareness that you at least know what you're good at, and you're using that, utilizing the things that you're good at to your advantage and to your advantage. But also you can, if you even if you have like area things that you think these are like areas of improvement, it's not a failure, it's not the end of the road. It's just like you can improve on this, but maybe you're also main that kid. But like he said, you have this other quality. You have this other quality on the side. So
yeah.
it's absolutely how you said. It's like it's a mental thing, and no one is actually that confident in their skills. No matter what stage you are at the
Yeah.
life, you can talk to the most senior coders at the most
At
creative like
Google, at
companies.
Microsoft, they all have imposter syndrome. Everybody does, but it's
Yeah,
just having
absolutely,
the
it's a mental
audacity.
thing. Yeah, but also you build your confidence somehow by building projects and being involved in some of these things. And as you said, like new things always will bring up that imposter syndrome back. Like you said, I don't know what Garanasa, what you have built and what you have been like able to do. Like I wanna talk about more about your current projects and involvement. Ugu horeeya waxa weeyaan dee HanaCodes, obviously, of course,
Yeah.
and iyo haddana waxaad haddana tahay so you're handling clients, and that's not an easy job. oo kaleba waxa laga yaabaa dadku caawinayna jiraan or employers. The when you're taking clients, you're handling the sales,
Yeah.
requirement, delivery, team management, invoicing, fixing whatever that breaks, customer relationship, and then at the same time, you're the head of tech at Zero One Founders, and then you've also mentioned that you're also doing other things.
Yeah.
So how do you balance this like leadership roles in tech, and what challenges does it come up with in your own personal life?
So I'm all about setting priorities and managing my time effectively. So I try and surround myself with a capable team. So alhamdulillah, I've got a really good team at Zero One Founders, and I've hired most of them myself. So I know their skills and where they are. But with HanaCodes, I do have some team members that I work with throughout, and the clients that I take on, we kind of have a window where I work with them. And I do keep my clients on various different packages as well, with breaks and if they need an additional work as well. I'm also a mum, so my daughter's 7. She's gone back to school this week. So there's tons of things that I'm balancing, but it's about managing your time effectively. It's about delegating tasks where possible and like surrounding myself with people that I know can get the work done. And there's tons of challenges that come up, but there's all these processes that I have. So you say like invoices, I have a system that I use that deals with my invoices. So I put the new client in, how much I'm charging them, and it regularly invoices them for me. So I usually take half of the payment up front, half of the payment at the end, or whatever I've agreed with the client. And it does that for me automatically. It's about automating things. So if someone, for instance, now I know you showed my website, but if they fill out a contact form on the website, it goes into my email, and then Zapier puts it into Calendly, and then emails them again and says, hey, can you book a time? And they book a time, and then it checks when I'm available in the calendars, because I have tons of different calendars. I have a calendar for my daughter, I have a calendar for Zero One Founders, I have a calendar for Bridge the Gap, I have a calendar for HanaCodes. So it kind of correlates through the calendars, and they can book in a time when I'm free. So it's about minimizing the amount of admin stuff that I need to do. So I use various different clients up with that. It's also minimizing the need to do too much. So the clients will usually come with me with an idea that they have, and they know what they want to get done. And then I'll have like a couple of meetings with them, and then there's a time space in that frame where things need to get done. But alhamdulillah, I'm very prioritize myself on organization, but I also prioritize myself on taking breaks and like self-care and preventing burnout, and just making sure that I'm taking time for myself too. So there needs to be a balance, and everything has a space in my life, if that makes sense. I'm very
Yeah, but
organized.
it's interesting to know actually that you have this many calendars and you're like managing them, and you have to be really organized to do all this stuff. Obviously, like you said, how do you even like balance then the self care, the family? You have this the domestic responsibilities, and then you have your work, your own business, and then you have this. So aside from the calendar, like what tips could you give someone to get as organized, I would say, or as on top of their like time and schedule?
So before the first of every single month, I sit down the week before, and I prioritize the time. I prioritize the time between the different calendars. So I sit there and like, okay, I'm going to do this calendar today, this, and this, and then I'll give you my play by play. So I do to-do list every Sunday for whatever I need to do the week ahead. So everything has a to-do list. Zero Founders has a to-do list. If I have a meeting with the CEO of Zero Founders, I have a to-do list for her. I've got a to-do list for my daughter. I've got a to-do list for myself. So there's things that take priority, and I put the highest priority at the top and the lowest priority at the bottom, something that can move over to the week after. And then the calendars are there as well. I also prioritize self-care. So Sundays are my self-care day. My phone's on do not disturb from 6 p.m. every evening until 6 a.m. the next day. Sunday, my phone's completely off. I don't do anything but spend time with my daughter, self-care, look after myself. I also wake up really early. I'll try to now every single day, and have a couple of hours to myself. So whether that's for me, it's self-care is my makeup. It makes me feel better. My hair, whatever I need to do to make sure that I'm okay. And I always organize everything I need the day before, so I'm not going to be rushing around and things like that. I feel like without organization, nothing will work. And I feel like you end up in kind of a hole where you have so much that you need to do. There's 100 things that need to be done, but if you haven't got an organizational tool, or you haven't organized yourself effectively, it's not going to happen. So I prioritize myself on that. I had annual leave last week where I literally just slept the whole week because my sleeping pattern has been so bad. But there's weeks like that where I just need to switch off and recharge. I do that a couple of times a year, or I'll go on holiday on my own. Like I went to Dubai in May by myself for like a week, and I just relaxed and did nothing. But there needs to be a balance. Somebody said, what calendar software do you use? So I use Google Calendars for everything. That's been more effective, and also it incorporates with like Zapier and like other things that I use. So I do use Zapier for various different things, or Zapier, however you pronounce it. But good old Notes as well. I use Notes on my phone, like on my iPhone. It connects with my laptop. It connects with my iPad. So my Apple, I use Apple for everything because it's just streamlined. Apple products are great. So I have my notes everywhere I go. So whenever I have anything that I need to add to the to-do list, it's added to that to-do list. I like ticking things off as well. Sometimes I will write out the to-do list on a whiteboard if I feel like I'm not getting things done, or I have a notebook with the to-do list in there as well. So it's just whatever works for you. Different people, different things work. You just need to find the thing that works and stick with it. But make sure you're not burning yourself out. I went through years of running myself into the ground because I was sleeping for 2 hours, 3 hours, and not prioritizing health. So try not to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people actually struggle with or like regulating not only their hours but also the stress that comes with work. And life only throws at you the hurdles and challenges, which is life, and then also work is a bit frustrating, especially when you're starting out. Like you could be looking for a semicolon all day, and that's
It's
that
true.
frustration.
You need to find an outlet for the frustration. So I do boxing. couple of times a week.
Okay. Okay. So
You need to
watch out,
find it
guys.
out.
We need to
So
watch
you need
out.
to find an outlet for the
Yeah.
frustration. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And a way to at least express that or get out of it and find your balance. I would like to know one thing that
Mm.
you touched upon. It's like we know tech things are changing overnight, and what really interests me is like you're like knowing these tools that you use for productivity and organizations,
Mm.
and like the new things like the AI things that are happening that can help your business potentially or your students and stuff. So
Mm.
how do you update yourself? How do you like know what's new and also like keep your skills fresh and learn new things?
So staying updated it's another job in itself as well, but you need to follow like industry news. I use Twitter, which is called X now, but I use Twitter. I'm subscribed to quite a few tech blogs, so I get there's one, I'm trying to remember the name, but I'll find it and send it to you so you can share it with everyone. There's this blog where it condenses all the tech news and it's just a page and you can read through it every single day, and they send it to my email. So I do that when I'm on my way to work. Also the online communities as well. I'm part of a few communities on Discord and Slack, and these spaces, people share things and they share videos when something has come out. Alhamdulillah, I'm blessed to have loads of friends in tech as well, so people share things with me all the time. But also attending conferences and workshops to like network and learn from different experts. So next week in London, there's a CogX festival, and they're going to be talking about advancements with AI, and it's 3 days long. And there's going to be various different industry experts from all over, big companies. They share things that are about to come out or about to change, or what's new, what's fresh. So going to these spaces are really good. I feel like the next couple of months in London is like big for tech because there's tons of events that are happening in September and October. Also, there are so many free online courses and different certifications that can help you acquire new skills. So I know the AWS community is huge. Azure's really big as well, but there's Google Cloud certificates that you can do. Just keeping yourself fresh and in the know, and following people that are in the tech space so they can share things too with you. And I feel like don't stop being curious, like, and explore different emerging technologies, because if you're stuck in a JavaScript bubble and you don't go out of it, you're just not going to learn anything and you're going to be left behind. So
Okay, absolutely. Well said. And that's actually insightful answer. Thank you. And one last question from my end, but I want to remind our audiences, the people that are watching us, thank you. I hope you're getting as much as the insights and uh, the talk with Hannah, all the great points that she's mentioning. I would like to just remind you that at the end, she will also answer your questions. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the chats and she will get to them. Before that, I would like to ask you one last question. And that is like, at any given point or any given life, there's no challenges, or in this career, there's no challenges. You have obviously maybe went through some big challenges to get to where you are today. So, what were significant battles that you had to face, and how did you like go through them, or what stories or examples can you share with us?
I have tons of funny stories that have happened with me trying to break into tech, but one of the main things that it all stems down into was I faced a lot of microaggressions and issues and challenges when I was trying to break into like leadership roles as a woman in tech, especially like a Somali woman in tech or a Black woman in tech. And it was just, I feel like when people don't see enough of you in a room, or people that look like you in a room, they're less likely to give you a role, or they're less likely to believe that you can do things. So I still to this day, I have people question me on my ability, or they'll come into a room and somebody new we have a meeting with, and they've come to have a meeting with me, but because my name's Hannah and it's not a traditional ethnic name, they don't assume that it's me. So that tends to happen quite a lot. And even it actually happened today, actually, when I went into a meeting too. So they're always expecting somebody else to show up, or they're expecting you to be a coffee person or something. That tends to happen to me quite a lot. But overcoming it kind of requires self-confidence and also perseverance, because there's always going to be small-minded people, but where there's small-minded people, there's also people that actually believe in you and they understand that you're meant to be there. And alhamdulillah, now there's loads of women in tech, and there's tons of people that are breaking into the industry and they're pushing boundaries and things, and it's more of a welcoming space, even though there are still issues in the space. That it's a more welcoming space. I don't want people to be scared of getting into the space, because there's tons of money in it, there's tons of advancement in it, there's a lot of freedom in tech as well. I feel like you can work remotely from anywhere. I feel like you can build skills and decide to change your career space. So if you're doing something within JavaScript or anything at the moment, you can change your mind and go into cybersecurity. If it's just so many windows are open once you learn tech. So it's just about I learned the importance of kind of advocating for myself and showcasing my skills and accomplishments, but also I feel like being in this career, it's kind of made me more resilient, and it helped me have that ability to create like a strong support network for other people as well. Yeah, so I don't feel, as much as there was challenges, I don't feel like they're a negative thing. I always feel like it's something that I can learn from and manage different obstacles as well. So yeah.
Okay, that was actually also insightful, and I like the fact that you're adding a little bits of tips in every answer
Yeah.
you're giving. Yeah, you're like trying to empower people through your advancements. And so there are some questions here. It's almost an hour, and we take this
Wow.
question, and then we call it a night. Thank you again for giving your time and to our community and sharing your insights. And also thank you for everyone who's joining us. The first question is from Ibrahim Ali. He says, what advice would you give to someone who's just starting to learn coding or tech skills?
So I feel like for someone that's starting their tech career, I feel like it's all about embracing the learning and trying out different things and not being afraid to fail. I feel like that's something that stops people, especially when they first start out, because they're failing so much and there's so many bugs and things are not working, and you've been looking for a semicolon for 3 days and something's gone wrong and you don't know what's wrong, and you just think, okay, this is not for me, tech's not for me, and you give up. I tend to have this conversation with students almost every day. So it's just about finding what niche you want to go into and what specific goals and interests you have and what project you want to build, and then finding the best language for you to learn. So it depends on your goals. If you're just starting learning coding, I would say either Python or JavaScript. They're often recommended because they're more versatile. There's tons of community support. There's more resources out there. And as you gain experiences, you'll start to do specific projects. And if you have a different industry in mind, you'll tend to go into that. So you'll explore different languages that align with your interests. They're good foundational languages and you can build upon them to learn the fundamentals of programming concepts. I always say, regardless of language, it's not the language that you're going to be stuck with forever. It's the fundamentals that you're learning how to learn and learning how to code and learning the fundamentals of in the industry and the programming concepts. So that will help you transition between different languages. And you'll see the first language that you learn will take you longer, but once you want to pick up a new language, it'll be less and less and less and less time. So I'd say be open-minded and don't think that you're going to be stuck with just one language throughout. And speak to people, see what they're doing, what they're building. And there's lots of GitHub repos that are open that you can clone and check out and look at different projects and try it yourself with different languages. So I'd say do that. You know. Hope that was
Okay.
helpful. I feel like at the moment with this question, I feel like AI and DevOps are big things where I am in London. So those are two things that are really big at the moment. But I would say also look into green tech, because I feel like the industry is going to move into that because of global warming and things. But AI and green tech for tech professionals and DevOps as well. Cloud is a huge thing. So picking up the skills to do that.
Okay. The next question is from Ridwan Yusuf.
This is a good
There's
question.
only one.
Huh?
There's only
What'd
one
you
question
say?
after this.
Okay. What is your focus or aim for this year? That's a big question. I've been looking into various different things. But my main aim for this year is to speak at as many conferences as I can. I have a few coming up in September and October that I'm speaking at. And to try and my students are graduating, so we've hit the 2-year mark. Try and get as many people into jobs as possible. Although the tech space right now is very difficult to get a role. But I've also been looking at I don't know what just happened. I've also been looking at contracting too. So there's various different things that I've been looking at. So the last question is, how can I make the most from AI in my tech career? Not using any. Yeah, so I use a few AI tools for work, namely for helping with emails and automation and various different things. I feel like within your career, don't heavily use the tools, but use them as an aid. So say that you're wanting to build a project, use it as a tool that's helping you learn. So use it as like a co-worker basically, or a co-pilot. Use them for that. Don't use them as like the sole thing. So say you want to build an app, don't try and force the AI to do all of that for you, because most of the time their code is incorrect, or their code is something that doesn't necessarily is the correct answer. So use it as like a co-pilot or co-worker to run your ideas through. So there's ones that I use Claude AI. That's been super helpful with like spreadsheets and analytics and things like that, because you can drop files into it. I also use Hugging Face. There's tons of different AI tools that you can use for projects and various different things. So I think use Twitter to search for them. People post tons of threads with like different AI tools for different things, and see what will work for you. But use it as like a co-worker or a co-pilot, not for it to turn your brain into mush. Because I feel like my students use, some of them are probably watching, but they use it for like their coding projects, and sometimes the code comes out incorrect, or it doesn't really do what we've asked them to do. It comes out in a different way, and we always know when something's been run through ChatGPT. We always know when something's been run through Claude or whatever, because the code's done in such a way that you can tell an AI has built it. So I'd say use it as a co-pilot. I mentioned so many projects. Some of the projects are your own. Thank you. What keeps me going every day? There are tons of things. Mainly my daughter keeps me going every single day. I feel like I need to create a world and a space for her to live in that is better, and I want to be the best version of myself that I can be for her, to make sure that she's proud of me and to make sure that I'm making her proud. But also, I'm an only child. I don't have any other siblings. I don't have people that will be there for my parents as well. So it's something that I'm like, okay, I need to be the best version of myself and the best I could possibly be for myself first and foremost, but also for the others that I'm serving within my family. So yeah, that keeps me going every single day. But also because I absolutely love what I'm doing. Alhamdulillah, I'm so fortunate to be in a job space and a role that I actually love doing. And I've always wanted to be in a space where I'm helping other people and helping people transform their lives. there are tons of stories that I get every single day from my students where they tell me, oh my God, I finally landed a role with XYZ company. I didn't think this could be possible. I'm finally able to support my mum in this. And they'll tell me stories of being able to support their children, and they've been stuck in a role for so long. And I've helped them see that they could get into tech and get into the space, and they're earning 3 times more money than they thought they could ever earn. So that really keeps me going. So alhamdulillah, I'm very fortunate in helping people. That really does keep me going every single day. Yeah, I don't know. Is there any questions that I wish you guys have asked? I don't know.
Like something that you wanted to tell us, or like anything?
I feel like I always tell people that if you're in this space, try and pay it forward as well. So now you're in the space and you've got a job, or you've managed to learn a language and you think, oh my God, this is the best thing ever, and I feel super smart and I'm able to teach someone else. I say pay it forward as much as you can. So say, try and teach another person, try and convince someone else to get into tech, try and show them what you've done. Because sometimes people forget people when they get to higher spaces, or they forget that there's a community that they're part of that they should be helping out as well. So always try your best in helping other people and serving other people. Even if you yourself are not interested in tech, but say that you've come to this talk today and you've listened to what I've said, or you've listened to someone else and you've heard that tech is a space that you can be in and you think it would be good for someone else, try and do that. Always try and pay it forward. I feel like it really helps the world go around. It also makes you feel more fulfilled, because once you teach someone something you've learned, it gets rid of imposter syndrome as well within you. So I'd say pay it forward.
Absolutely.
And
yeah, go on.
And I don't know what else. And don't be hindered by all the tech layoffs. I know I get tons and tons of DMs all the time, people telling me, oh my God, there's all these layoffs. What's the point of getting into tech? Oh my God, I don't know. Why should I do this if there's no jobs in it? But I feel like there are roles in this, and the tech layoffs was something that happened for a brief moment of time, and there's going to be a tech boom soon, inshallah. So get into it and try it out. I feel like it's a fundamental skill and it's a life skill, especially the way the world's going. Everything's going to be online. Also help your parents with the tech stuff too. It's super important. It is.
Yeah, you feel like you're going to your happy place, like you're giving the most advice.
It's important. It's important.
Yeah.
But I'll stop talking. I feel.
Yeah.
No, it's
Absolutely, yeah. Now, I actually enjoyed talking with you, and I
Thank you
hope
so
everybody hope everybody have gotten amazing value from this talk. Thank you so once again for giving up your time and sharing your insights and experience
It's fine.
and your advice with us. I would like to say if you guys can show love and say thank you, Hannah, in the chats, that would be lovely. We're about to close the session now. And at Mahadsantiin Marwalba, I would like to thank all the participants that has came. And I will also say hi to the ones who would watch the recording later, or you rewatch the YouTube live. And Marwalba, you can revisit this. It's going to be in your emails, and also it's going to be on YouTube, so you can rewatch and uh, check this again once again. مرة بعد ما فتح الألبوم mahadsantihiin. This is not going to be the last one. We're going to have more also some people from different tech backgrounds in this Fikrcamp Talks. مرة بعد ما فتح ad بندكم محل I'm going to be playing a video, so if you have watched that video what's kasi daawan karasa haddii kalena you can just waad fasaxan tahay mar labaad mar saddexaad aad baan idin salaamayaa السلام عليكم أدم ما ستحنا أدونا مع السلامة.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, thank you.
Rana adigoo gurigaaga jooga. Waa waqtigaad adigu baran lahayd xirfad cusub. Barana adigoo gurigaaga jooga. Ama adigoo fadhiyaba maqaaxidaada ugu jeceshahay. noqo web developer ama UI UX designer muddo 4 bilood oo kaliya isdiiwaangelintuna way furan tahay si aad isku diiwaangelisid booqo fikrcamp.com waxaana soo buuxisaa foomka isdiiwaangelinta nagu soo biir